What's up? What's up, Raider Nation? Dustin, what's good? Always a pleasure to see you here. Welcome to Feel Good Fridays. And as you guys know, it is Friday. We are feeling good, look good, feel good, dress good, get paid good. Let's see. Dustin, how you doing, brother?
Hanging in there, man. Doing good. Just like you said, feel good Fridays. It's always good on a Friday.
Feel Good Fridays. And there's some news that we're going to start that may feel good for some, may feel bad for others. You got the A's are moving. I've been telling people this for the past couple of years. Ever since the Raiders moved, I was like, look, nothing is set in stone, nothing is concrete, everything is inevitable. Things are going to happen. Oakland doesn't want sports, and in 4 years, Oakland has lost 3 professional sports teams. Not only 3 professional sports teams, but 3 professional sports teams with storied past and bright futures. You lost the Raiders, you lost the Warriors, you lost the A's, 2 teams in Las Vegas. Dustin, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, once they came out with the rooted in Oakland phrase, I'm like, oh
Yeah,
man, they're driving their stake in the ground, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because we knew they were vying for a new stadium, or at least renovations to the Coliseum, trying to get that done with the 3 mayors that they've had in office, and asking for public money. A city of Oakland doesn't want to give public money. You know,
mm-hmm.
they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that slogan, I think. And now they just look like, I mean, they kind of look like asses, right?
Yeah,
Leaving the city that they're rooted in, supposedly, and signing that 10-year lease, like you had mentioned on Twitter, blocking the Raiders from building on that stadium site. And then all of a sudden, not even 3, 4, or 5 years later, boom, bouncing out of town. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
it's messy.
Mark and Al were very vocal about the fact that they wanted to build on the stadium site. Al,
It's a
came
great
back
site.
with yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful site. You're right there on the water. All it really needs is to be cleaned up. I mean, look, the
Hmm.
stadium, it's old, it's run down. I likened the Raiders move to this situation. Say you're living in an apartment and your apartment manager or your landlord is a slumlord, and you've got roaches, you've got rats, you've got possums living in your walls. You have leaky faucets. You have a trough that you have to pee in. You have your sewage piling up and going into your bathrooms and in your bedrooms. And then somebody offers you a brand new shiny mansion. All you got to do is move from Oakland to Las Vegas.
It's
Who
hard to
says
say
no?
no to.
Who
It's hard
says
to
no?
say no. I don't see
I mean,
anybody that's going to be saying no.
you're going from the gutter to freaking to Shangri-La, So the fact that, people are upset about it, look, I get it. Like, it was tough. But
It
I'm telling
hurts.
you right now, this was pushed by the A's. And then to make things worse, Mark Davis had a statement. He was asked about it. He said, and to paraphrase, he said, I won't forget what they did to us. They squatted on the lease. We were looking for a stadium. They didn't want to give up the land. They didn't want to build a stadium. They were looking for something. Libby Schaff went in and said that they're the base team and that they were, that she was going to put all her efforts towards them. Warriors end up going to San Francisco. Of course, I mean, they have their own money. They can do what they want.
Hmm.
That's not public funded. And that was one of the things that Mark wanted, was something publicly funded, because at the time he did not have the financial means to do it on his own. But they marketed the team as rooted as Oakland. They use the slogans. Basically, it would be like saying faithful to the Bay and then moving to Great America. But it's very,
Well
and they
said.
and ultimately Davis got what he wanted. He got a stadium. He got a stadium that was built for him with public funds. And he
Beautiful
has,
house.
the rights to the stadium. It's beautiful. You look at the training facility, it's state of the art. These guys actually now look like a professional football team with all the amenities they had before. They had worse with they had their locker room and their facilities were worse than some high schools I've seen.
I
So,
mean, they were pretty
I
rough. Like I was down in
yeah,
Oakland not too long ago for work, and I was like literally 15 minutes away from the facility, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take a little detour. I'm going to cruise over there, just check it out. See how it looks now that we've been gone for 3 years, right?
yeah.
Doesn't look any different, bro. Like
No.
it looks the same. The only thing that's
Was Ray
missing is
Perez
the
still
Raiders
outside
logo
yelling
off the
to
front.
was Ray Perez still outside yelling to sell the team, or has he retired from that? And what's he going to
I
do
think
now
he's
that the A's are
retired.
out of Oakland? Like, I wonder
He's
what
gonna
he
have a
would. I
lot of free
mean,
time on his hands.
yeah, unless he decides to jump to another squad because oh wait, no, he still talks about the Raiders. I forgot about that. He hates us, but he talks about us every day. Apparently, that's the thing that people do is they talk about people for that stuff. It's like, come on, let's have fun with it. But yeah, so Mark had said what he had to say. It kind of opened a lot of people's eyes, to the fact that Mark wasn't trying to get over on anybody. Like he was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. I want to do it here. If we can't do it here, we're going to leave. And he ultimately held true to what he said and he left. The A's, on the other hand, are basically, like, I'm never going to leave you. I don't want to, I want to be here. I want to stay forever. And then all of a sudden they go out for milk and they never come back.
Yeah.
And so, I think that what the A's did is way more of a slap in the face than what the Raiders did. At least the Raiders were transparent about it. They prepared us. This was a blind side, basically like watching you walk in and you're wife's with your brother. So, it's tough. It's tough. But
Well, and I think
needless to say,
the new mayor, she said it herself. She goes, the A's dealt in bad faith through this
yeah,
whole thing. They leveraged Oakland against Vegas,
yep,
and that's what everybody accused Mark of doing,
right,
and that wasn't the case. He,
yeah,
like you said, he was above board with everything. We want to be here. We want to stay here. Shaft wasn't cooperating, didn't want to help. I mean,
yep,
I saw one article. He said he wanted 300 million at first, then he wanted 400 million. They countered with the 90 acres of land or it was the Coliseum site and $90 million in money.
right,
They just couldn't come together on a deal. But
yeah.
with how the A's handled it, they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to be here. We'll work it out. We'll work it out." And next thing you know, like you said, you got offered that shiny new palace in Vegas, and they're like, "Well, see ya."
I'm gonna tell you right now, Dustin. As soon as I saw that they were gonna have gondolas taking you to and from the game, I knew that was bullshit. Like Oakland can't even maintain potholes. How are they going to maintain gondolas? You're going to see people
Yeah,
flying onto the ground. No, it's not going to happen. But I digress on that. We're gonna get off that because now the A's are going to be in Vegas. They're realistically, I don't think they're going to have a new fan base. I don't see a lot of the Oakland A's fan base following them because, quite frankly, they don't even follow them to games now. And so, I don't see people paying a ton of money to go to Las Vegas to watch a baseball game solely.
yeah.
If you're in Vegas to probably say, hey, maybe we'll catch an A's game, but other than that, I don't see people making that a destination like they would for the Raiders.
Well, and I think with the overlap in the seasons, you're going to get people that are going to be there for a weekend of sports.
Exactly.
You're going to catch the A's, say a Friday night or Saturday night, whenever they play. If they play lined up with the Raiders on a home game, you got a perfect sports weekend.
It's a good weekend, yeah. Especially if you're into sports betting or if you're into going out and having fun because remember, we've got the parties that are the night before the games. You've got the party bus that takes you to and from Barcode. The Blackout crew is going to be doing a lot of great stuff, and so we will have a lot of stuff with that coming out and more information. But getting into the draft, the draft is next weekend. If anybody's in Vegas, make sure you hit up Barcode Burgers. They're going to be having a draft party. You have Blackout crew there. I know Graf's going to be there. I think Hammer will be out there. So make sure you guys hit up Barcode Burgers. Get a burger there. They're best burgers in town, reviewed by Keith Lee. I think he gave him like a 9.6 on him. And,
It was
Keith
high.
Lee, he gave him like a 10 on the wings. Like it was high. So make sure you guys check out Barcode. And it's a free party.
Yeah, and Cody, the owner out there, he's A1, man. Cody, he's a great guy. I've talked to him on Instagram. He's a great dude. So I'm sure he runs a great shop out there.
Oh yeah. So getting into the draft, I really want to look at this first round. I think that's the biggest thing right now because this is a team that one needs a quarterback. In a franchise quarterback. I don't mean needs a quarterback immediately right now because I think that Jimmy is serviceable, but needs a franchise quarterback, needs a face of the franchise. Yeah. Jimmy's a bridge quarterback. I think he'll do well in the system because he knows it. But the Raiders need a quarterback. At the same time, the Raiders have other glaring needs. They need an interior lineman. They need corners, safety help. What do you want to see from the Raiders this weekend coming into draft night, Thursday night?
Well, I've got a couple scenarios that I want to see. If you go, say you got Bryce Young come off the board at 1, Texans decide to go no quarterback. They decide to go elsewhere. I want to jump up to 3 and I want Stroud.
Yes.
I don't think there's any question about it. And from everything we've been hearing for, what's been released to us anyway, the Raiders want either Young or Stroud. If it's not one of them, they're doing something else.
Yeah.
Now, in that instance, okay, say he's available at 3, you go up and get him at 3. If we're going to stay put at 7, I want Devin Witherspoon. I want to pair him back up with Nate Hobbs. I want to start up. I posted up. I want to start building that Soul Patrol 2.0.
Yeah.
I want that nasty defense to come back. Dude can hit. He can cover. He's got some little tweaks here and there, but he's who I want.
Yeah.
And then if say they don't want to sit put at 7, trade back. Get the capital. Trade back. Find you a nice. There's corners all the way through this draft.
Yeah.
There's no name guys that could be starting in the middle rounds, so it's a very deep class. I want to see some linebacker help, maybe not in the first round, but within those scenarios, I think there's a way to get plenty of linebacker help and plenty of corner help.
Yeah, I think that those are all areas that they need to target. I think I like your idea of trading down or trading up to get Stroud at 3 if he's available, or if he's sitting there. I think the Raiders pull the trigger on that. There may even be the opportunity for the Raiders to trade to 2 because we know Caserio and Ziegler have a good relationship, and if knowing that Will Anderson is the guy that's on their board, or Jalen Carter, he may be able to be there. I don't think Jalen Carter is going to make it past 5. Honestly,
I don't think so.
I think Seattle wants him, and I think Seattle's going to get him. I think that's their guy. I think they'll roll with Geno for a year or so, and potentially look next year, which is a stronger quarterback class. But I feel the same. I'm up there with either Witherspoon or Gonzalez. I think you can do great things with either of them. If they do decide to trade back, I like Joey Porter Jr. I think that he's a guy that could fit in the defense well. Him and Nate Hobbs are both big, handsy guys. They could have some fun. Also, free agent wise, I saw that Casey Hayward got released today.
I saw that.
He's a guy who, he had some success here, and I would love to see him back in silver and black.
I would love to see Hayward back. He was killing it when he was back here.
Yeah. I think he'll probably go to Indy and sit there with Bradley, but if he's interested in coming back, I'll take him. I also think that, and this is the other thing, is if the Raiders don't get a quarterback in the second round, if you have the ability to trade up and take Hendon Hooker, you get Hendon Hooker. I think that he's the biggest wild card in this draft. I think that he might actually go in the first, and I think that a lot of these projections are going to be kind of off. So those are the good things. We got a couple comments here, and I'm going to get to them. I got Raider Room saying what's up, giving a shout out to our guys, Raider Room, A-Train. Make sure you guys go follow us, the Raider Room on Instagram. He's got some big stuff coming. Yeah, he's got some good stuff.
He's got some big stuff coming.
Raider Room gives you a shout out, Austin Hooper. We have Austin Hooper, aka Clay Jr., aka Dusty Buns, out here. But yeah. So I wanted to say that. What's your 2023 goal? I'm gonna have. Let's go with 30 catches. We'll go with 30 catches in the red zone. With I want 10 touchdowns for 700 yards. Okay.
We're going lofty.
Yeah, seriously. We got a question here. Do I think the Raiders are going to trade Renfrow? I think it all comes down to pick number 3. I think
he's going to be in that 3 package. I think.
Yeah, I think if we go to pick 3, I think that he could be one of the guys included in that package. I just think it makes the most sense. He's a guy that is. I want to keep him. I love Renfrow. I think that he's a great player. I want to see him healthy in this offense. I was saying on a podcast yesterday, I want to see him healthy in this offense because what Josh McDaniels can do with guys like him. And by like him, I mean little white receivers that are just shifty out there. They're like that.
One of which is on the coaching staff now.
Yeah, Amendola. I liked Danny Amendola all the time, even when he was with the Rams. Like he was always super shifty. I remember watching him on Hard Knocks, and I was like, this dude, like I think he was like undrafted or 7th round or something like that. But
yeah, he was
like this dude. He's a fighter. Like this guy, he can play. I hope he doesn't get traded. I hope he doesn't get traded. But if it gets us CJ Stroud, then I'll buy one.
You take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Um, any chance on Jacob signing the deal and work out a deal? I think that's what's going to happen. Now, Dustin, I was saying, I think that Jacobs is kind of waiting on the draft, I think, to see what the Raiders do, who the Raiders add, and if it's going to add value. Sorry, it's going to be the difference between a friendly deal and a deal that's not team friendly. He's going to be asking for a lot. So I think it's really going to come down to that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think you hit it on the head there. He's got $10 million guaranteed right now if he signs his tag, right? So he's got his 10, but he obviously wants more than that. I think it was on the Blackout Pod last Thursday. You guys were talking about Jacob's contract, and I think if they were to put another 6 on top of that 10, like Wasted was saying, I think that might be a good spot for him. You know, it gets him some more cash. It's a little bit of flexibility, you know, especially if some of that's in incentives that are somewhat attainable. Yep. You know, I think that would go a long way to keeping him on the roster.
Yeah. I saw this comment. I had to address it. Renfro has a case of the dropsies. I mean, the dude got, as Anthony
annihilated.
Says, the dude got the Sonic rings knocked out of him. And
that's a great way to put it.
And he wasn't right after that hit. And I think that, you know, when you have a hit like that, it takes some time to get back. I think he's going to be all right, though. Like I said, I hope they don't trade him, but we'll see. Josh, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be indicative on what happens in the draft. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens with Josh. I'd love to see him stay in silver and black. I think that he's one of the best running backs in the league right now. And so I'd love to see him back. Looking at this team top to bottom, there's a lot. You know, offensive line is actually surprisingly good.
It's better than what they can add to it. Credit for.
Yeah, they can add to it, but one thing I like is Jermaine Illuminor's just his growth, the way that he's been playing. He's really stepped up as a leader, and he don't take any shit. He's been on Twitter, just kind of going back and forth. Yeah, I like that. He got paid. He got paid. He's like, hey. He's like, let's go, let's get this.
He got it,
you know.
But let's not overlook the fact that he was projected for like 12. He was projected for 12 million to go to a different team, and he took 3 to stick around. So I mean, that's got to mean something.
That says something, you know. I know that he has history with McDaniels and them, but you know, I think that definitely does say something. It speaks to, you know, the fact that guys want to build something in the organization. It's just guys that it's got to be guys that fit the system. And one of the things that I was talking about is, you know, as much as I love Carr just didn't fit that system because he's, you know, he wants to be able to run things the way that he runs things. And Josh is very Belichick-esque and stubborn where he's like, no, we're going to do this. And this is what I think goes. And, you know, if we run it and it doesn't work, then I believe he'll take the fall for that. But when you start throwing audibles in there and stuff like that. So I think Derek's gonna have a ton of success, and that's the last I'm going to talk about Derek because he's not a Raider anymore. But
I'm just going to say I think he landed in the optimal spot for him. You know, I don't think there was a better spot for him than New Orleans. So
absolutely, I think it's going to be a career for him. Honestly, you know, and that's not even like being a stan or anything. Getting into, you know, speaking of stanage, I actually have some. I've actually got some personal news, something I'd love to share with everybody here. So guys, give me a minute. And I'd just like to let you guys know that I actually have brought in a new sponsor for the podcast. So let's give a shout out to Woodson Whiskey for bringing your boy. Yes, Real Talk is now officially sponsored by Woodson Whiskey. Woodson Whiskey is the official whiskey of Real Talk with Kenny King Jr.
Very nice.
So make sure you guys hit up Woodson Whiskey. And they're now starting to open up sales in California, which is exciting. I'm going to be actually going down to one of the stores. And so you guys can get it in California now. You don't have to order it. I believe CJ's, I believe it's down in Fremont. They have it. I'm going to head down there tomorrow, post a video on that. So, we are now with the Woodson Whiskey crew.
Very nice.
So cheers, everybody. I don't have my glass on me because I don't have any ready ice. And so I wanted to let everybody know. That's where we're at now. So getting into things, yeah, man, I'm excited because this draft is going to be it's going to be big. 12 picks.
Has to be big.
You've got so much to happen. I think that this is a not make or break draft, but I think that this draft is going to potentially make Dave Ziegler. I think that this one can put him on the map.
This one definitely has the potential to be a really strong kickoff to this, not a rebuild that we've been sold since last season. A strong draft from these guys is going to quell a lot of the talk about how long are they going to be here. Are they gone after this season if things don't pan out? I think Davis is. I think he's put his foot in the ground. These are my guys. They're going to run things their way. They're going to build their team, and we're going to give them the time to do it. Does that mean being bad for maybe a couple more seasons? We'll see. But I think if he can get in there and hit on a lot of these picks, I think he said in his presser, he's looking for 12 guys that can contribute. He's not looking for 12 starters. He's just looking for 12 solid guys that can contribute. And I think that's a great way to approach it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're going to see, you're going to see an approach to it. I think that one of the things with Mark is he said last year that Rome wasn't built in a day. That, obviously things take time. I also think that if they're playing particularly bad, if it's a decline than what you saw last year, then they're out. I think that's going to be the thing is there's a leash, right? And they're going to give them leeway and say, look, there's growing pains, but you want to see above 500. You don't want to see a sub 500 team again. You want to see a team that's fighting for playoff position. You want to see a team that's making it to the playoffs. You want to see continual growth, right? This was the playoff team 2 years ago. This needs to be a playoff team again, especially when you look at, the Super Bowl being in Las Vegas, because I'm going to tell you right now, mark my words, if the Chiefs make it to and win a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, you might as well just kiss talking about the Raiders goodbye, because they're going to be so annoying.
It's going to be bad, and you will literally see Davis's head spinning around in circles, because that is probably the worst thing that could happen to him at this point.
Yep.
Talking about wanting butts and chairs last season, but you got to field something worth watching, and that's where things are going to get real tricky. You're in this partial rebuild or retool, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to be really hard for these guys to put something together that's going to be competitive. And if they're not successful in the drafts, and those seats are going to be filled with other fans, that's just as plain and simple as it can get.
Absolutely. So that's what you got to do. You got to focus on our cats are going crazy. I hear mine talking.
Yeah,
to yours.
I'm trying to
just hear mine. I'm like, damn it.
I'm waving my notebook at him. Like,
I'm like, hey, get up out of here. But yeah, so we covered a lot. Obviously, next week we got the draft. We're gonna do a draft recap. May get my guy Joey on here. Joey wants to talk some Raider football and talk about the draft. He wanted to do a mock draft. I was like, dude, I'm not doing mock drafts anymore. I'm not doing mock drafts, and I'm not doing fantasy football this year. Those are the two things that I'm sticking away from. I'm not doing it. Don't ask me. I am not going to do it. And if somebody asks me, I probably will say yes. That's why I'm saying don't ask me, because I don't want to do it.
Bro, okay.
But as we start to close this episode out, as we start to close this show out, we lost somebody in the Raider community. We lost a member of Raider Nation. Former Raiders defensive end Chris Smith passed away. I know that you guys had a close personal friendship. You guys used to talk a lot. So I just wanted to give you a few moments to, say some words on Chris, and just, see what you need to say.
No, I think Chris was the type of dude that nobody had anything bad to say about. He was just a very well-loved, well-liked person around every team that he was on. And you saw it from a lot of the guys on the squad this past season, guys that played with him in 2020. they were all posting up saying, pictures of him laughing, smiling. They go, this was just who this guy was. He was just never down. He was never out. Getting to know him a little bit, just by chance, tagged him on a post. He hit me up, we got to talking, and it was just, he was a very genuine dude, was down to do anything for you. We had him on the pod, once, and had him confirm that victory lap in KC, and telling stories about guys in the locker room and stuff like that. And it just, it sucks, man. It really sucks, especially when he's a guy that's, young. He played 9 years, 9 years in the league, kind of bounced around a little bit, but he was solid, man. And, had just got his restaurant up and running in North Carolina, so it's a big loss, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. So, our hearts go out to his family. Obviously his daughter, who, now does not have her mother or father. Her mother died in a few years ago in a car accident that they were involved in. So it's just been a rough couple of years, and, to see somebody that young go, somebody who had so much potential, so much future, somebody who was such a great person. I mean, he had me dying every time I talked to him. And that's what everybody say. I've never heard a bad word said about him, not even like by a coach or anybody. Like, there's never been a bad word said about him. So
he's running his deal in the XFL. He was running, he was killing it down in the XFL.
He was killing it. Yeah, he had just gotten signed. He was, he was balling out there. So, just make sure his legacy stays on. We know once a Raider, always a Raider. He's up there with Coach and with Al Davis and with, all the legends. And I'm sure they're all just sitting there getting ready for Raiders football, just like we are. But yeah, shout out to Chris, shout out to his family, everybody that knew him, the Raiders organization, Dustin, you, and chat. I need you guys to be a little bit more active next week. So I'm going to leave on that. I'm not even going to say thank y'all. I'm just going to say get active. It's draft week. Let's go.